A wise man once wrote, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." Somewhere between the Boston Tea Party and now, the word shall has seemingly taken on a different meaning to Democrats and lots of other bureaucrats in our government. The Illinois governor is threatening to fire sheriffs, which you can't do, who say they will not enforce the state's new gun ban. Joining us now, the editor of Bearing Arms and the host of the fantastic podcast, Bearing Arms, Cam Edwards. Sir, appreciate you being here.
Hey, Carl, good morning.
Okay, so shall is a pretty clear word, or shall not be infringed is even more exponentially clear, as we have printed out right here on this. So, Cam, my question here is this pistol brace. Overnight breaks, the ATF, DOJ is saying, if you own a pistol brace, it's now an NFA item. It is now you have to register it and potentially pay it. I'm not sure if they're going to make you pay a tax stamp on it, but you have 120 days to register a firearm that you own totally legally. Otherwise, you're a felon.
Yeah, by the way, not even a firearm, right? This is one of the weird things about this rule is that the ATF had to redefine what a rifle is in order to apply this new rule to stabilizing braces. And it's not hard or fast either, Carl. You know, it's not a matter of if you own one of these braces, you must. It's the ATF saying, well, if you own one of these braces, we're probably going to consider them to be a short-barreled rifle if it's attached to a firearm. Better safe than sorry. You might want to register these items with the federal government or else face a federal felony. This type of, vague language and abusive language we've seen from the ATF in the past, and I think, unfortunately, we're going to see more from it in the future with the Biden administration.
But it's just like the whole thing is like, shall not be infringed. So you have a bunch of bureaucrats just change the definition. It's like when they change the definition of a woman, or when Bill Clinton debated the meaning of the word is. Like, come on, guys. Like, are we playing around here? Do you think this is going to get overturned by a court before it gets instituted?
Well, we just saw the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals declare that the bump stock ban that was passed by the ATF administratively in 2019 without a vote of Congress did, in fact, violate the Administrative Procedures Act. There have been a lot of folks, including the National Shooting Sports Foundation, who've made that exact same complaint about this new rule that was just published. So, yeah, I think there's a really good chance that this rule is overturned.
I'm struggling, but you have between 10 and 30 million of these pistol braces. I own an untold number of them myself. I'm not going to disclose that on national television. I'm really concerned about this. I live in Connecticut, where they basically said if you own an AR-15, you got to register it or get rid of it. I made the option to move them out of state until it would be overturned, and it's been almost 10 years.
Yeah, and thankfully, listen, there is a lawsuit taken on Connecticut's gun ban right now in federal court. And a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, I know it's frustrating for gun owners because we got that great decision in Bruin, and now we're waiting for the courts to catch up. And unfortunately, listen, as you say, there are a lot of Americans, whether they're politicians, whether they're on the bench in some cases, who don't want to recognize the plain text of the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed. And they are treading all over our Second Amendment rights at the moment.
Yeah. The last thing I want to ask you real quick is Illinois. The governor is like, I'm going to fire sheriffs if they don't enforce the new unconstitutional law that I just passed because I don't want people to have AR-15s, despite the fact that most shootings are actually done with illegally obtained firearms that are pistols. You can't fire an elected sheriff. So what is he talking about?
I don't know what he's talking about. I have no idea. But you're right. He's threatening, if they don't do their job, they won't be in their job. Well, they were elected to do that job by the constituents, and 74 county sheriffs in Illinois have now said, we're not going to enforce this new ban, right? 74 out of, I think, 102 counties, Carl. So, this is widespread. You understand why Governor Pritzker is freaking out, right? He thought that they would sign this bill into law and all of a sudden everybody would bow down and start to obey it. But listen, these are sheriffs who respect the Constitution. They know that this case is going to be litigated in court. And until then, they have no plans to try to violate the rights of their constituents.
So, Cam, you have Oregon, you have New Jersey, you have Maryland. We have the Connecticut case, which you just mentioned, where they're taking on SB 1160, which banned AR-15 and magazines over 10 rounds. Where are we sitting at? I know you spoke to Holly from the CCDL the other day on your podcast, which was great. Talking about challenging these things in court. It costs $1 million. That money is never refunded or never made back. We usually win the cases. But at what point do these anti-gun crazies, that's what they are, stop trying to do things that the courts have already said you can't do.
You know, that's up to them, unfortunately. And that's the real shame about this, is that in the meantime, there are millions of Americans living in these jurisdictions who are being denied a fundamental civil right. And Democrats are patting themselves on the back, you know, as they do this. So I think over the next 5 years, a lot of this is going to shake out. I know that might be like a really long time period for some people, but, you know, the courts don't move as quickly as we would like them to. And there are a lot of issues that are now coming before the court. So I think over the next 5 years, you're going to see a steady stream of victories in the courts, both at the lower court level and eventually up to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, real quick, I got 10 seconds left. Do you see the left moving on from guns as an issue just because of all the L's they take?
Not right now. No, unfortunately, I don't think they've learned their lesson yet.
Well, hopefully we get more cowbell there. Cam Edwards, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Carl.
All right, folks.